Remember me? I remember everything. I was home to the river that you no longer remember, to the lake where you built your house. I was home to the trees that bloom every spring, to the rain that always knew where to flow. I was home to many before you called me home. Remember how it was when we first met? From the moment I first saw you, I came to love and care for you. I saw how you grew up to be the person that you are. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮೊದಲ ಕೂಗು, ಮೊದಲ ನಗು, ಮೊದಲ ಹೆಜ್ಜೆ ಮತ್ತು ಮೊದಲ ಮಾತುಗಳು. I witnessed it all. Remember?
Remember when we played and ran carefree around those totas and maidans? You sowed the seeds of gulmohar, hunni, aladamara, and many more. They grew high, shading our beautiful walks along the Kerry. Oh, those bulbuls, gubbachis, pariwalas, mainas, and their beautiful songs to which you sang along to. Jaane kahan gaye wo din? Remember?
In the early years, when I was sick with the plague, you never gave up. You nourished me back to the model partner that I could be, fed me with confidence that I could outshine the rest. You called me those sweet names from Bengaluru, Bangalore, Bengaluru, and added Namma Nimma to my name, but adella nija itta. Those beautiful landmarks you dispersed all over me, just to flaunt me in front of your friends. You confined me within those four towers, only to expand without my consent. त्याची काही गरज होती का? The day you felt scared to leave your house and go to school for the first time? When you broke your leg while hitting the goalpost? When you learned to ride your cycle through a series of falls and knee scrapes? You picked yourself up and carried on, zipping through those narrow roads with your head held high. Remember?
What happened to our early morning masal dosa? Chow chow bath that you promised me every week we'd go to. Those bite to kahi kahi filter kapi we shared. With bajji bondas and churmuri with endless stories for us to share. Now yak adeno ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ? Tell me you don't miss those days when we lose ourselves as we travel in the worlds of infinite stories, to the smell of the old books lingering in the halls of the central library, finding ourselves in the midst of the maze, bargaining our way through petty, finding the most reasonable deal. We marched across Avenue Road with our hands full with books like a soldier returning from a battle. Ah, adella endanal.
Those ice creams at Lake Views, cutlet and samosas at Indian Coffee House, and long walks along the boulevard while we enjoyed the evening race. And we rushed our ways through the traffic, hoping we wouldn't get late, and finally reached the talkies. Ah, I remember how you jumped the crowd just to get back tickets for Annaura cinema. મને ઓલા દિવસો પાછા જોઈ છે.
I remember that day when you stepped into the real world, taking the buses and fighting for those seats. Those endless bargains and bumpy 1.5 rides. We went together from Pete to Kote, from Palyas to Nagaras. Then you got the freedom from those BMTC buses when you got your own Gadi. That excitement and the thrill to take me with you. I remember those midnight rides for that 4 a.m. chai. When we went to the extent screaming, I love you Bengaluru. We rode high on adrenaline in those Mungaru Male hanigalu hitting our faces just to explore every nook and corner of the city, and you made me laugh. You made me realize that day I'm not a home for one, but for millions and many more. All the languages you spoke, all the cultures and the cuisines you bought, all the traditions you bore. You gave me a gift unlike no other. I knew the world because of you. I knew unknown lands and rivers because of you.
You'd often complain how ঠিক ঘরের মতন লাগছে না, but the moment you saw me and saw through me, you'd smile in an instant. Thinking about our never-ending walks, getting drenched in the rain, or learning how to balance the clutch when you drove uphill. You'd smile, and I'd know where your heart was. And home is where your heart is, right? And then you started understanding the things around you. You started understanding my existence. You acknowledged me. And sooner or later, I knew you'd care for me, you'd fall for me. You found people. You found shoulders to lean on, and you also found someone to break your heart. Then you cried your way home while I held your hand in one way or another. I tried to fill in the silence on your way back. You grew up in a blink of time, became independent, but little did we know. We'd become dependent on each other. And so starts the story. A story for all of eternity, all the way to the end of time. End of your time and mine. মই সদায় থাকিম তোমাৰ লগে লগে আশা কৰিছোঁ তুমিও থাকিবা মোৰ লগে
I am so proud of you for all those battles you fought for me. You keep fighting for me at Gandhi Statue, Town Hall, Freedom Park, even when we were forced to be apart. I can still hear your screams of Bengaluru Namde. You truly made me feel loved. It meant the world to me. Adeniyum cheidude.
You changed. You changed the way I look with those endless glass facades and dreams of touching the sky. I saw you disregard what's around us. You put those endless pillars of distortion between us and the skyline that we love. Birds crashing, smoke rising, machines whirring, cars honking, you screaming at everyone. Kuch samajh ko nahi aave. You filled the roads with engines going nowhere for hours, creating a chaos of dust and fuel while I stood still, unable to move as I suffocated. And I suffocate still. You poisoned the very air that keeps us alive. And while you rolled your windows up, closed your curtains, and shut your doors, you left me to drown in the misery of your making.
I feel used. You used me to describe a beautiful metaphor, a metaphor of change and speed. You appreciated me for what I am and went ahead to change everything I ever stood for. Manji ab khud ko aaj pehchan nahi ho raha hai. You sit in your high-end offices and houses and play poker with our chances for the future. You change whatever you want, whenever you want. You publicize me about your price for freedom while you strangle me in chains. What will you do when I break free? What will you do when I stop caring? Will you survive? Ennum mevadanallu.
Last year, I saw you suffer. I watched your pain, your hopelessness, and your helplessness when you lost. Lost each other, lost your freedom, lost your reach, and lost your cells. All you had was a vacuum surrounding you. There was distance and there was intimacy. And as you switched your engines off, lit a candle for the souls we loved, said a prayer for a better tomorrow, grew a tomato plant, and learned a new hobby, I saw you. I saw through the crisis, your hopefulness, your strength, your capacity for change, and your capacity to hold each other. ನಾನು ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಹಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ.
Hoping to see a better tomorrow with birds chirping again, rivers flowing again, and the sweet breeze that binds us both, I endured. I endured all you threw out because it made you safe and maybe not me. I saw you decompose and lie still as no one touched you till they had to. I saw you endure and I stayed with you.
But does it matter anymore? ಏನಾದರೂ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗುತ್ತಾ ಏನಾದರೂ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಯ್ತಾ Do you even remember the moment you thought mid-May when maybe things aren't right between us and it's our responsibility to make it? എനിക്ക് വേണ്ടി നീ എന്തേലും മാറിയോ ഇല്ല
You made it through a crisis to create another one? I always thought what we had was bittersweet thing until the bitter part took over. You complain about those coldest winter and harshest sun? I tried to tell you, but you were so engrossed in building the tallest tower and you forgot your foundation. So as the rain come and wash you whenever they please, remember this. I always tried to warn you. You were just not listening.
I cannot process how it all came to this. I'm beginning to believe that I'm better off without you. However, I want to tell you that I was always happy to have you in my life. Now, I'm just confused. I don't know if I matter to you as much as you matter to me. I remember very well who I was before you found me. and call me home. Home meant what you love, and I thought I was the one who you loved. ಆದರೆ ನೀವಿನ್ನೂ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ?
Do I really mean anything to you anymore? Where are we heading? What does the future hold for us?
In next 10 years, if we don't take action, if the government doesn't respond to the needs, to the emerging needs of rising Bangalore, people have to leave Bangalore and they have to push towards Mysore, because water is one of the biggest issue which we are facing. See, water is pushed from 100 kilometers to Bangalore. We do not have water resource. All biological bodies have perished. So until and unless we make the water bodies flourish again in Bangalore, it will be very difficult to stay in another next 10 years.
It's a place where IT is just booming like mad, and people like you is going to really make Bangalore a wonderful city. But only when you people go out, create and stick to your architecture and don't go out of it. I know out of 1,000 only 5 practice architecture. So if the 1,000 practice architecture, you see what's going to happen. That's what can happen to Bangalore city.
Government started a lot of positive activities such as metro coming up. Metro is under development, but we don't see that kind of development happening in faster pace. So metro started off when 10 to 12 years back. Now since then the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, that work is under progress. So 10 years down the lane, I see all our kids traveling in metro. The traffic condition goes down. I mean, at least the traffic pollution and other stuff will be under control. That's wherein we have to see as a being a Bangalorean.
Okay, to be very honest, I think it's leading to more traffic. But yeah, I think it's a great place. A lot of new joints coming up, and I think at least hospitality-wise, I think there are a lot of great restaurants coming up, which is great. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರು ಈ ಟೈಮೇ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ ಫ್ಯೂಚರ್ಗೆ, ಬಟ್ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂತ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಟ್ರಾಫಿಕ್ ರೂಲ್ಸು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇದು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಪೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಆಗ್ತಾಯಿದೆ ಈ ಟೈಮ್ಗೆ, ಬಟ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಏನು ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಜನಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಾನ್ಷಿಯಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಈ ಥರ.
I think it's a lot about community. A lot of people here are multicultural, so there's not much judgment that happens. You can be yourself. No one really cares, and that's a very nice feeling. I don't really think there's a part of Bangalore I don't like. Stay the same. Genuinely just stay the same, because there's so much change that's happening. We don't want home to also change, you know.
Adi,